We have some milestones and anniversaries we want to announce. So 5 years for Malacca High School, and it was 10 years for Darter Plastics, Inc. And also want to welcome some new members. So we've got Alpine Cabinetry, Lovett Technology, Linus Welding Training, and Sunbelt Business Advisors. So I just want to welcome all the new members, and glad to see them becoming part of CMMA. And some other updates. The most important one coming up is the CMMA Golf Social. Put this on your calendar. This could be our first time for a face-to-face gathering. Last year we pulled this off even in the middle of COVID, and it went really well. So really encourage everybody to attend. What's important about this is our main fundraiser. All the profits from the Golf Social go in to the CMMA Foundation Fund, which is only used for educational and school activities like VEX robotics, equipment for tech ed programs, things like that. So really need your support and really want to encourage that. The other items just want to briefly mention is that people will go on to the CMA website and check out the Youth Apprenticeship Toolkit. This is what allows schools and manufacturers to connect and tells you how to do it. And even if you can't figure it out, it'll give you names of people to call to help do it so that you can have high schoolers working in your facility to learn about your business. And the other big item that I want everybody to look at is the K-12 Navigator, also on the CMA website, is to go in there if you're a manufacturer and haven't listed your company. I really want you to do that. And so that we can get that built up, because we're now pushing it to the schools where they can come look and see what businesses will do for them to help them to connect the students with businesses. So I think we're pretty much got through all our speakers today. Is actually a panel. So their presentation is going to be on the big item of the day, employee recruitment and retention. Okay. And that's going to be moderated by Mike Henke of Mike Henke Incorporated. And I guess what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through give you the first names of the folks involved in the panel, and they will take care of doing their own introduction. So we should have Angie, Dana, Julia, Scott, and Mike. And with that, we'll turn it over, I think, to Mike.
All right. Did each of you just want to do a quick introduction? We can start with Angie.
Awesome. Good morning again. Angie Brick with Rotochopper. I am the Director of Community Relations.
Excellent. And then Dana.
Hi, I'm Dana Koosman from Rotochopper, and I'm the Director of Human Resources.
All right. And Scott.
My name's Scott Coldspring. I'm the Director of Human Resources.
Very good. And Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia Contreras from Lewis Industries in Paynesville. I'm the HR and Safety Manager.
All right. Well, through the beauty of Zoom, I'm actually joining you from central Nebraska, where I live. I lived here for quite a while, but I grew up in Clearbrook, Minnesota. I don't know if anybody knows where that is up north, and also a proud alum of Bemidji State. So I'm pretty sure everybody knows where that is. But yeah, I love being in Minnesota. I'll be up there in a week and a half to work for a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I can bring my golf clubs. Hopefully you're all ready for that. But today we're going to talk about recruiting and retention. And everybody I talked to said, wow, I thought hiring was tough before the pandemic. Now it's even much more difficult. So, but we have some answers for you today. It's not the impossible challenge for a couple of reasons. You know, recruiting. Do you know that 70% of people in the United States today are passively looking for another job? Just to define that, actively looking would mean you had your resume posted on Monster or something like that. Do people even do that anymore? That seems so yesterday. But passively looking means, well, I don't have my resume out there, but if I heard of something really good, I'd listen. Okay. So even if you're in Paynesville, Minnesota, population 2,400, which means your workforce, if your participation rate is maybe 65%, which is one of our main challenges in the United States, it just keeps going down. That means you'd have about 1,560 people in the workforce. So 1,000 would be passively looking. So 1,000 would be interested in the opportunities you had. So I think we can overcome the challenges we face today. Retention too. I really believe that people just want to find a good job and they appreciate a good job and a good immediate supervisor to work for. Here's some more research for you. 76% of millennials, who we unfortunately get picked on a lot, do not want to job hop. They will if it's bad, okay, if we don't give them what they're looking for, but 3/4 of them don't want to. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel in both recruiting and retention. So we'll start with recruiting today. And I'm going to start with Scott on what creative places do you post job openings or make people aware of what you have available, Scott?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. And good morning, everybody. I wanted to get a chance to tell a little bit of our story and being able to say, where do you put all your time and energy and efforts. And I would tell you, you have the newspaper. I would tell you the job posting boards. I'd tell you the local job networks. I'd tell you that along with everybody else, got to sign out at the end of the road. We've got a bonus hiring referral bonus program for all internal employees that if they recommend somebody, over a 12-month span, they could, earn $500. I would tell you that, we're looking at, hiring bonus, just like everybody else is. But then I'd pause there and I would tell you that over the last 6 years, where we've really spent a lot of time and energy is at each one of the school systems. Right here at Ricori, the Coldspring School, the Albany School just wanted to join us. The Kimball, Eden Valley, Watkins, Paynesville, just looking at those school systems west of 94, because it's really pretty much our customer base or employee base. And so just spent a lot of time starting right at the elementary schools and supporting the VEX. And that's been a real big winner for us as we're starting to educate and expose not only the kids, but mom and dad, to who Coldspring is, what we look like, what we've been through for the last 123 years. And I know this is a one over the world, but we've created what we call a Discovery Academy here on our campus, where we have the instruction from the Technical College in St. Cloud come teach the students from those schools that we're participating in right here. So we give them a shot at earning some college credits. We get them a chance to see real life, put it to practice, at the end of the school year. So we've spent just a time and energy, working that way, understanding that's a long-term solution, to trying to find the right people to join our team. That's one over the world.
Yes, no, that's very good. And I think that's the key is you need a multifaceted approach. Back when I started my career, recruiting was pretty easy. I just called the newspaper, placed an ad, done. Let the applications roll in and I'll hire the best 2 or 3, because that's where everybody went. It created a flow. Well, nothing creates a flow anymore. You need a lot of trickles to add up to enough. And just like Scott said, sometimes it includes buy-in of the parents too. That absolutely helps because they have influence in this process. So very good. Recruiting. How about speaking of these job postings, Julia, what buzzwords do you like to use in a job posting?
So because we are a family-owned company, we like to highlight that in our openings, in our job postings. So we like to highlight family-owned, flexible, but really as a business, you guys would need to look at what is it that you do that sets you apart from other companies, and kind of try to highlight that to make it like we're special because of this, and then put that out there to the candidates to make it attractive.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think of what candidates look for today. Flexible is definitely a big one. Training, growth, those are buzzwords that are going to catch people's eye.
Mm-hmm.
And family owned is good. Absolutely. 100%. So how about if I go back to, or I'll go to Angie this time. What would you say about your organization, Angie attracts candidates?
So we are at Rotochopper, we're an ESOP company. So that is a plus for us. We started our program in about 2008. And I feel that that's a good like recruiting tool for employees. Younger employees sometimes don't see the benefit of it. They're not thinking about retirement quite yet, but once we talk through the process and just explain the benefits of the program, it's usually helpful. And then during our interview process, we talk a lot about our mission. So and I have to look at it here because I mess it up the wrong way, but we want to keep our customers happy, the people that we're building machines for, our people employed and engaged, our company profitable, all here in St. Martin. So just like Julia, we're from a small town. It's smaller than, St. Martin is smaller than Painesville even. So our hope is to keep our employees engaged in their small towns that they're coming from to work here. So to basically just keep central Minnesota thriving and growing as well, to be a place that people want to come to work for, not only if it's in Rotochopper or Lewis Industries or wherever they want to work at. So, and then we do just like a lot of just different employee events throughout the year. We'll do like an employee appreciation day where we've headed out to a Stingers game, or we've gone to the Twins game, and we pay the employees for that event or that day. You hop on a bus, you have lunch together, you're together in an environment where you're not normally together. So just doing a lot of those type of things as well. Lunch, we do a lot of lunches. We've done a lot of boxed lunches, which allows us to also then keep our local restaurants up and running as well. So some of the things that we do.
No, that's great. And it ties into a key point that Julia made, is what differentiates you. I'll go to Indeed and I'll read job postings, and so many of them are almost the same. It's like they almost copy and pasted from somebody else. You need to tell that story. From a millennial recently, somebody told me, Mike, I don't want to work for a company whose only goal is how rich we can make the owner. I want to work for somebody that's involved in my community, that's interested in keeping my community going, and that makes a difference. And I'm just going, yeah, that's the direction that things are going. And are we reflecting that? And a lot of us do great things in our job postings, 100%. Probably things we didn't put in job postings 20 years ago. But yes, great story for sure. Scott, same question on what do you think attracts people to Coldspring?
I think that to your point, Mike, and to what Julie and Angie said, being a family-owned business, you look at, I know we'll talk about onboarding and all those kinds of things, but when at about that 6 to 9 month mark, we'll do that final step of onboarding, and that is to look for that feedback from the employees. And it's nice when you go around the circle and say, hey, what attracted you here? Chances are that you had plenty of family and friends here, in another small community. But, there was a young guy, 21 years old. And what really surprised me, he goes, man, I just want stability. And I was like, oh, that was interesting for a 21-year-old to say that. And when he got around the table to the gentleman that was probably about, in his early 50s, and he said, I just need stability. And so you just look at those key factors. And I think what you brought up earlier was when in that job posting, I can tell a little bit of my story, because we're unique, we're old, we've been hanging around, and we've been doing pretty well. So it's trying to get that piece out there right away. So it's just not going, hey, what's a rock pitcher? I don't know.
Right. But even though you've been around a long time, though, you have new things going on. I think about the technical training you were talking about, and people want to know that as well. They like the history, but you know, you're definitely staying a step ahead, which is probably why you've been around as many years as you have.
Probably despite ourselves too, you know.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I would add is that it's really been really pretty interesting. We've spent a lot of time on well-being and even joining the GSDC in that whole community event of being able to say, hey, well-being, there's well-being 5, and we've added the 6th element to the organization, and it's a spiritual well-being. And, you know, just saying, hey, these are the things that we're going to spend time and energy on to show that we value you as an individual and as a team member of the company too. So that's got a big impact.
Love that. Love that. That would be front and center for me to job postings and anything else where I'm telling our story. Because candidate wants to know, what's in it for me? You know, before they even want to know that you've been around 120 some years, what's in it for me? You know, what would my experience be if I went to work at Coldspring? What would my experience be if I went to work for Rotochopper? Those types of things. So yeah, you're doing great. And I want to get to Dana here too in just a second. But Julie, anything before I move to the next question you want to throw in what attracts people?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback Angie with throwing out the mission, but also to highlight your company core values. I've had candidates that have mentioned, oh, I went to your website and I saw in your job posting that, you know, you hire employees for life. That's great. I'd love to find a place where I can work forever. So just kind of highlighting your company core values is important too. Yeah,
76% of millennials don't want a job hop. So that still resonates today, 100%. So Dana, next question. What would you say a underrated part of recruiting, I think, is really the interview process. So what do you think is a key part of your interviewing process?
Sure. So I am newer to Rotochopper. I've been here for about 4 weeks. Prior to that, I was with Dunnet Companies. And so when I was actually interviewing for this position, they were talking to me about their, struggle right now with recruitment and COVID. And so I specifically asked them, so do you ever get to the point where you're hiring for a body, or are we really trying to find a person that is a culture fit and also a skill set fit? And they immediately said, we want culture fit and skill set. We will slow down production. We will, wait for that right person, because we do not want to hire anyone that is not a culture fit to our organization. That's number one. And so that was really refreshing for me to hear that. And then I saw it day one when I started working here. So during the interview process, we give them a handout that lists our mission, our values, our goals. And we talk about those in the interview process. And then our interview questions are specifically based around our values of harmony, fairness, and generosity. So we're asking questions to see if they are going to be a culture fit, as well as learning more about their skills and their past, employment experiences. But we're really targeting finding that right person. And if those 3 values do not appear to be in place, then we will just pass and we will not hire them and move forward, and we'll wait for the right person. And so with that, yes, there's a cost to production being down, but we all know there's a cost to hiring the wrong person and turnover. I mean, there's huge costs in that as well. So it's kind of balancing that and making sure we're finding the right person.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. So I assume you have behavioral based questions that are open-ended.
Yes.
Like, just throw a quick one at me, harmony or fairness. I'm intrigued.
Oh my gosh. You got to remember, I'm 4 weeks in. I usually have so harmony, we talk a little bit about, give me a past experience where you've had a conflict with another coworker, and how did you handle that? So, are they able to work through those conflicts and create harmony within the business?
Good. I actually use that question too. I love that question, because I'm hoping their answer is never had a conflict with a coworker, but it's not always what we find. So, Scott, how about your interview process? Anything noteworthy that would be helpful for the group? Nope. Did we lose Scott? don't know. It looks like he made a lost connection. I'll skip to Julia.
I can't hear you.
Am I gone? Can anybody else hear me?
I can.
Amy, I'll work with Scott.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think Scott was in and out. Try it again, Scott. Can you hear me now?
Now I'm back.
Okay. Anything about your interview process that is helpful for your organization?
Yeah, I think that I'll piggyback off of what Dana had said. That and I lost you, Dana, probably just as you start talking about a cultural fit, and all suddenly everything just went froze. But we use a process where we try to focus. It's called the Who interview. It's off a book from Jeff Smart and Randy Street. And basically, you take the first 30 minutes, and it's only a 30-minute interview, and you're looking for that fit. Saying, hey, culturally, we believe, if you've got the soft skills, we want you on the team. If you got soft skills and hard skills, we really want you on the team. But if you just have hard skills and no soft skills, chances are you making it are pretty slim. So if we can narrow it down real quick to saying, hey, yeah, we believe this individual is a cultural fit, then we'll go spend the rest of the time and energy, working on the hard skills.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, we don't need to add any toxic employees to our cultures, I promise you. Julia, any
Yeah.
comments on the interview?
I guess same story. I think it really has a big impact on employee retention at the same time, hiring the right person, making the right culture fit. We also hire to our culture, like Scott had said, if they have the skills to fit our company, or if they have the soft skills, they're going to learn, how to run a machine. They're going to learn how to run the crane, things like that. But if they can't get along with other people, or if they don't fit our company, then there's no sense in training them. Or even if they have the skills coming in, it's even more difficult to, you can't, it's harder to change somebody or to train them to be nice to people, it's kind of their personality. So, yeah, getting the culture fit is my number one interview goal, is finding the person to fit the company. And then the rest kind of goes after that.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely. How about referral programs? I'm a big fan, by the way. I think they can be very helpful. I want to start with Angie. I'll ask a couple of you about your referral programs, and maybe, of course, you don't have to explain the program A to Z, but like Angie, what are some key aspects of your referral program that you think work for you?
I think the number one benefit or perk to having a referral program is just to be able to find those employees that your current employees know. And so they're very choosy if they are picky. They're very selective as to who they say should come and work next to them. They want it to be that good fit so that they know that they'll receive that referral bonus part of it. So I think that's one of the main benefits, is that it helps to find, it's not just the cold call people coming in. They actually know someone and that connection, and typically they're finding good employees. So
yeah, I agree. Research proves that out, that they will refer a higher cut of candidate because their name's on it. Scott, what about yours?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, we started probably about the end of the year, an employee referral bonus that, to Angie's point, is that, that first 20, 30 days, the employee's got to show up and be engaged, not have any attendance issues. And then the referral individual, we'll give them $200. And if they make the 90-day mark, another $200. And if they make the year mark, they'll get another $100. And it was really interesting that we had five referrals, and so far they've stuck. And so that's been something that's just been a little unique here, just as recent, to try something different.
Yeah, absolutely. Julia, anything to add?
Yeah, we have a referral program too, employee referral program, which is also $500 paid out throughout 3 times throughout the year in 3 different increments. But a little statistic for you all, 45% of employees sourced from employee referrals stay longer than 4 years,
Ooh.
as compared to 25% of candidates from job boards stay 2+ years. So it's a big difference in retention. If you don't have an employee referral program, I would suggest writing one up or getting one. I'm open to sharing mine, so it's a big benefit to recruiting.
You know, and how we implement it, I think, is important too, because I've seen organizations with pretty good referral programs, but it's almost like a secret. People don't really talk about it. We don't make a big enough deal of it. What I used to do is, like, say we had $100 that first increment, is the next time I had my team together, I'm like, I'd have $100 bill. I'm like, hey, who wants $100? And like everybody'd be like, yeah, me. And I'm like, oh, let's go to Angie because she referred in Julie, who's been here 30 days. So she qualified for the first increment of the referral program. And the whole team gets to witness me hand that $100 bill to Angie, and that video, the visual of that really motivates people, which means that first increment really has to be like $127.60 because we got to take taxes out. So CFOs hate me, but it's very effective in getting extra traction for your referral program, at least that first increment, which would be the most common increment as well, of course, that you're exercising. So yeah,
I've heard of a company, we haven't done it. I think it's a great idea, but they bought a grill and then they taped applications to the grill and said, you know, if in the next so many days, if I get application, your name will go in for a grill to win the grill.
yeah, that's good too. Love it. Because that visual, again, they'll see that grill every day.
Yep.
Have it right where people come to work is what I'd recommend. And yeah, good stuff for sure.
Just revolving around the topics of like grills and stuff, we actually did a lunch that referred, the entire like topic of the lunch was referrals. So we had signs and banners, and those items are still in our break room, but just another way to like get people to know that our program is out there.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very good. And by the way, for the group, we will take questions here at the end. So we'll try to time it to where we have a little chance to interact with all of you, just as if we were in person. Anything else in recruiting, Dana? Any other recruiting ideas that you want to share? Or
I think Angie covered it for us.
okay, very good. And good job on the front. I didn't prep you with your harmony question, but I like it. So let's move to retention. We'll go to that category. There's a lot of answers. There's really no incorrect answers, but why do you think people quit? Dana, what would you say on that one?
I'd say the number one reason is engagement. We all want to work. We all want to work. We're at a place where we feel valued, where we feel like our opinion matters, and where we feel there's opportunity to continue to grow, and that we can make a difference every day. So if we don't have that, then I think it just makes it a lot easier to leave. I think that's the number. I believe that to be the number one reason.
Boy, that's a great answer. I couldn't agree more. Scott, what do you say? Why do you think people quit?
Yeah, there's a couple years ago, there's some data that came out that said 3 out of 5 people would forego a substantial pay raise to watch their supervisor get fired. So I know that's a key factor there. I think what Dana said is spot on, as part of that engagement piece. I actually had a young lady that came and interviewed, and I don't get to see all of them, but I just stopped to talk to her for some reason. And she goes, the reason why I came to Coldspring is I was just at the place to do an interview, and there's 10 people that walked by and nobody said hi to me. And she goes, and you came here, you're friendly, you're very polite, all that kind of stuff. And so it was just like, wow, that one key factor, you missed it. just be decent, just be a decent human being.
Some of the candidates I've talked to that had a couple of job offers, they did some research on those organizations' cultures. Is it friendly? Is it welcoming? Is it a team atmosphere or not? I mean, candidates care about this stuff and they're willing to do their homework to find that right fit. And to combine both of your answers, the immediate supervisor is the one, going back to Dana, that gives that employee a voice, that provides the training and the career growth. And it really does come full circle. Julia, what would you add to why people quit?
Yeah, and part of that also is to show them that they're not just a number. It's getting them part of the team and including them in things. And it's not easy. You have to make an effort to make sure that you get to know every employee. Our CEO knows everyone's names, everybody's story and family. And I had a recent employee just mention how they thought that it was so warming for them to know that management comes up and talks to them and knows who they are. It's important to them.
Oh, I agree. There's a lot of things that are old-fashioned, and just because we did it that way, it doesn't mean we should. But there's one that'll never go out of style: getting to know people, showing that you care, which remembering their name proves that you care. Great stuff, absolutely. Angie, in retention, how often do employees receive feedback on their performance? That's kind of a spoiler alert as to where we might be going with this one, but what would you say?
So we have a process where we do like a 45-day check-in. So it allows the employees to communicate with us what they need to make their job better, but it also gives us a chance to like formally just sit down and talk to them as well. We do that process at 90 days after hire as well. And then we just have our like formal yearly, performance evaluation process. But we also have things like Monday toolbox talks. So that is out on the production floor. The leads meet with their group of people that they work with in their like bays, and they go over like a safety topic, but it's also just another check-in for the lead to just have that constant contact with that person. We will do like huddles in the office or team meetings. And then we have just a lot of meetings in between the office and the production employees to make sure that everyone is, with that constant communication. So that's where ours mainly lands in.
Very good, very good. If the first feedback is at the first annual review, they probably won't even be there for it. Just saying. Scott, how's feedback work for your organization?
We started, you look at that very beginning, what Angie said in that first 90 days, try to get the supervisor to have that conversation 30, 60, and 90, so that if they're not meeting the expectation, at least they understand why and what kind of things that they need to improve on. And then about 3-4 years ago, we created a new appraisal system, one pager, because people don't want to read past half a page anyways. And we really incorporated it as the values of the organization, so that the appraisal really is, hey, are you living the values of the organization? And that seems to have been, pretty effective in being able to just keep getting that in front of people and saying, hey, this is what we're expecting out of you.
No, I agree. I think a lot of performance appraisals have, for instance, 12 categories, the minimum. And I'm like, well, isn't how we get along with coworkers one of the top 12 things we look for? Isn't adapting to change one of the top 12 things we look? I could go on, but Julia, what would you add about feedback?
We, same as Scott, we do the 30, 60, 90-day review with employees, with new hires, and that's with the supervisor, and then we do it the annual. But we also, we've implemented traction in the last few years, and with that, we've incorporated our core values and finding the right person for the right seat. So even though we're looking for the right person to hire, we're also maintaining the people that work at Lewis Industries to make sure that they're still the right people and that they're in the right seat. So we review that with employees on a regular basis during their annual, and then new employees. to ensure that, you know, we keep people here that are fit for the company.
Yep, love that, absolutely. Let's skip to onboarding. That's a subject I'm passionate about. I bet Dana has a good answer for this. Do the keys to retention start in onboarding, Dana?
I would say they actually start in the recruitment process, even before onboarding, because what kind of message are we communicating to employees when they first have contact with us? What is our brand saying about us? Are we staying consistent through that interview process? Are our values ringing true when they are interviewing with us? So I think it actually starts when we are recruiting them, and then it translates into the onboarding process. You know, are we who we said we were? Are our values there? And then specifically with onboarding, we need to make sure that we're ready for them, that we are set up, we have all their equipment, everything they need to go, passwords, logins, anyone that is key that they're going to be working with on a regular basis, making sure ahead of time we have those conversations with those employees and they have assignments on what they need to do. And then with, you know, the upcoming year, laying out very clearly to the employee, okay, these are your responsibilities this year. This is what we expect from you. These are the relationships you need to build. So everything is very defined. They know what's expected of them and they know what we are going to do to help them in that process. So yes, I'd say onboarding is a huge part of it, but I think the recruiting piece, you know, we really start there with showing them who we are as a company and how we're treating them.
Yes, I agree. One of my pet peeves on recruiting, not that we're going to go back to that fully, but is just speed, lack of speed. We don't look like a professional organization if you're not checking your postings and your applicants every day. If it takes you a week to call back, or you know, a long time to follow up from an interview, and it's no, you. Besides, you're going to lose a candidate. It's competitive. Everybody's hiring. And that person, if they are a rock star, well, everybody else is going to figure that out too, and they're going to have a job offer fast through somebody else. And I want the rock stars working for me. So I agree. I need to look like an A player right from the start. And onboarding is a key piece. Scott, onboarding at Coldspring?
You know, I think I hate to say this, but I think Dana was spot on again of being able to say, where's that at? You know, here's that dating process, you know, and now I really go show them who I really am, you know, and really push that forward. So yeah, I think that from an onboarding perspective, recruiting's first. And then now it's my opportunity to Gail Noakes. We talked it in the breakout room this morning, and she helped a company in Delano really take back and peel back that onboarding process. So that day one, that employee walks in and he's just getting hit with a fire hose and they walk out. And he said, it wasn't that people weren't coming in and hiring, but it was getting them past day number one. And so they sat back and peeled that onboarding process out and divided it up for a week and get that employee pretty comfortable with coming to work at a new place. I thought that was pretty neat job.
Yeah, you bet. Well, the goal should be world-class onboarding. My favorite slide from my PowerPoints is Zappos onboarding, how they welcome new people and they got a line and they're high-fiving, and obviously that must have been before COVID, but they really focus on it. And yeah, makes sense. Julia, what would you add?
Another key to onboarding is to make sure that the new hire does feel welcome to the team. We try to have a team atmosphere at Lewis Industries and promote that. So walking them through the office, introducing them to everybody. We always communicate all the new hires through email. We put up their picture and posting of where they came from for every new hire throughout the shop. So just kind of getting everybody else to know who the new hire is, rather than, oh, when did you start? Months ago, and I didn't know you were here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then every quarterly meeting, we also introduce all the new hires, have them raise their hand and things like that. So just kind of getting them acquainted to the company and kind of feel like more part of the team is important.
Couldn't agree more. It's one of the top reasons why people leave a job quickly is they don't feel welcomed by the team and they don't feel part of the team. So Gail brought up a good point as we're still kind of talking about recruiting, onboarding, is the follow-up with candidates. I know Dana had mentioned even the recruiting process, we're establishing our brand. And I like that terminology because I see, I used to run a recruiting agency and the top complaint is they never heard from their application. If you received it, even if it's a no, they want to hear. I don't know if any of you four want to add to that or anything great that you do to acknowledge every applicant, but anybody have something?
I think sometimes it can be hard to respond to every applicant, but I do think it's important. At my previous employer, we had an applicant tracking system that would respond to them automatically for every person that applied. And it would look personalized, but it was an automatic response. So that made it a lot easier. We don't have that currently at Rotochopper, but I hope in the future we can add it. But it streamlined it and made it a more efficient process. And then we were at least having some point of contact with every single person.
Yep, very good. Absolutely. It's work, but it does pay off, I think. Speaking of onboarding, like Julia, do you have mentoring, specified trainers? You know, how does that onboarding kind of grow into their career?
So in the past, years past, we usually would have the supervisor who's an expert, right, of the department, train the new hire. But in the last several years, we've had, we find it more beneficial for to assign a mentor to the new hire that they can work side by side to make sure that, you know, that mentor is typically always there for them. Supervisors are in and out, around in meetings. So making sure that the new hire has an assigned mentor that they can go ask questions if they need to and be there for them when they need them, and to get the training with that mentor, which is also an expert in the department. You know, it's usually a long-term employee, somebody that knows how to do the job very well without any issue and can be a trainer.
Yeah, I totally agree. And who do we choose for that person is
not always, not everyone can be trainer. They may be an expert, but they are not a trainer. So they need to have the skills also to be a trainer. We have a really great laser operator that has been here a long time, and he is the best, but he is not a trainer, and he knows then that's okay.
right.
But really matching them up, as well as making sure that the trainer has the skills to be able to teach rather than just tell. So.
Yep. Well, I couldn't agree more. In my travels, I'll, you know, I love new hires. They're excited, right? They always have a great attitude. And I'm like, oh, so who's going to train them in? And they're like, oh, Fred over there. And I'm like, ooh, Fred, he looks scary. Why'd you pick Fred? Well, he's been here the longest and he knows the most stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And from Fred, their whole first day, they're going to hear how screwed up your organization is, what dumb policies you have, what poor decisions you make. And you wonder why new employees quit. We had a Brian, not a Fred. Oh, sorry. Of course, FedEx will come and ring the doorbell so our dogs will bark right there in the Zoom call here. Never fails. But he'd only been with us 8 months, but he loved training. And he knew everything day one employee needed to see and hear. So pick the right person. Absolutely.
Yes.
That's key. And then, you know, we talked about keys to retention. All of you had great comments. You know, I didn't hear anybody say pay. What role do you think pay plays in retention, Julia?
It does play a role, as we know, you know, even to keep employees. The market is changing, ever so changing. In the last 5 years, it's gone just nuts. So we've had to make market adjustments to some of our employees, more so the shop floor. And it's well received, but it's also important to maintain competitiveness in the industry. So, you know, as a company, we make sure that our, you know, we participate in and salary surveys and gather the data to make sure that our employees are paid market wages. And it does make a difference. I mean, you obviously can't overpay because then you're not making any money, right? But employees stay at companies more than just the pay. You know, we have a culture that we've grown into that they're fine making a dollar less, but have more flexibility with their family, you know? So it's, like I said, finding the right culture fit for your company rather than just paying that high wage, yet they may not even stay because of they don't fit with the company.
Yeah. And culture is your number one recruiting tool today. You need your current employees to be advocates for your organization. It's the most effective way to attract new talent, and pay matters. We can never say that it doesn't, but it's not necessarily first on the list. In fact, let me ask everybody on the call, who pays the highest in your region? It's so often a company with high turnover, if you think about it. So yeah, there's more to it than that. So let's get that chat box rolling. We only have 3, so we can take some questions here. I'm on my last one for the panel, so then we'll have time, as promised, for all of you. So send something in. We're the 5 of us are at your disposal. So let's finish up with, we'll just kind of go around to each of you just to sum up what the key to retention is for your organization. Angie, you want to start? Dina is welcome to add on if she wants, or she doesn't have to.
Awesome. So a lot of our like the retention and recruiting, you know, they kind of play hand in hand. So like obviously the ESOP, we have all of the benefits that, you know, other companies have, matching 401k, those sort of pieces. So we've done surveys to our employees to just kind of see what they wanted. So we've started time to talk or small group meetings. COVID has kind of adjusted the way we do this, but so we gather all the employees together if possible, or we have like Tosh will speak about you know, via video, and then we can release the video to our employees as well. But just talking about the high points of how the company's doing, where we're at. Like he'll always touch on safety, but just that constant communication. We have, Julia mentioned too, like we have an employee bulletin board. So it tells people when something new started. It talks about upcoming events, birthdays, anniversaries. So it's highlighting those things too. So we found that just that constant communication has been extremely helpful.
Oh, love it. Anything to add, Dana? Or?
Yeah, just touching on a little bit of what Angie said with the employee engagement survey. So that was the first one that has happened here at Rotochopper. And I do think they're a very valuable tool for all organizations to do an employee engagement survey, but not just to do the survey, but take the feedback and make those changes and be communicating with employees. So if we're doing the employee engagement survey, we're sharing those results with the employees, and then we're setting up a plan for how we're going to move forward and make these changes to improve these areas where employees feel like we're lacking. And so Rotochopper has done that this last year, in particular with communication and setting forth a communication plan to show employees, hey, we're listening to you, we're taking your feedback, and we're gonna move forward and make things better. So we plan to do another engagement survey at the end of this year. And again, we're going to take that feedback, we're going to share it with them very openly. And then, you know, we're going to make changes. Again, we're going to target, you know, you can't do it all in 1 year, but we're going to target areas that we want to, you know, work on and improve on for those employees.
Yep, I'd love. Well, you summarized to me the top 2 keys to engagement today, because number 1 is voice at work. They want to make an impact. They have suggestions. And number 2 is communication. You know, everything's upside down from when I started my career. You know, when I started my career, things were on a need to know basis, which I hated back then. Transparency is what they crave today. So I love what both of you said. Scott, what would you add to keys to retention?
Yeah, I think we touched on a lot of different things today already, but I think it's a myriad of things. You know, pay being able to say that you're fair to the employee, you're fair to the business, and you're fair to the marketplace. You talk about wellness programs. You talk about, gosh, we've got a chairman's club that says, hey, look, the owner is personally involved in. So if you've been in the company for 25 plus years, you get to wear a green hat. You're different. You get treated real well. You know, out of 785 of us, we're north of 300 people that belong to that club. So, you know, that longevity has really been key for us. You know, you talk about the 401k, you're talking about a return on asset bonus program that everybody gets, you know, every year. And gosh, you know, 2 weeks ago, I gave every employee in the company a $3,200 check, and none of them got returned. So I think they really enjoyed that. So I think it's just a pocket of things, the culture, and, you know, it's just trying to do all those things the best that you can, and, you know, ultimately let people see who you truly are.
Great. Yep. Great story. Julia, what do you have?
Yeah, you know, if you think about what kind of company you have and you reflect on why do people stay here, you know, what comes to mind for me, for Lewis Industries, is the flexibility with employees. I think is very important. You know, we have, and some companies can't do that, but being more open to allowing them time off and be flexible with their families, and different shifts and split shifts, and, oh, I can only work Tuesdays, you know, things like that. But also the team atmosphere is also a big one, as well as, you know, you got to have competitive pay, your benefits package. You try to be competitive with that, and understanding the employees' needs and making sure that they're met. Staying consistent with policies is very important. You know, if you have employees that are being treated unfairly, like I think it was Angie that had mentioned that. So
Great way to call it a problem, isn't it?
yeah.
Excellent. No, good stuff. Have some good questions starting to roll in. Keep them coming. Dean asked if there's any trend in calling past employees back. I actually recommend only the good ones, of course, but for anybody that you lose that you don't want to lose, just put it in your calendar for 30 days, 60 days to remind you to give them a call, because it's so competitive now. What I see is people promise the sun, the moon, and the stars. So, you know, I lose an employee, they go there, it's totally not what they promised. So they're disenchanted right away, and actually more appreciative of working for me. So I actually did that with strong candidates too. I didn't shred their application in 2 years or whatever the law is. I kept them, and I would periodically, hey, is the timing right for a career change to come work for me? And I definitely think that extra follow-up can pay off. Anybody have any tricks like that you do?
We have reached out to past employees as well. Just depending on their situation, they may say yes, may say no, but it doesn't hurt. You know, if they were a good employee and they're skilled in the job, maybe their situation has changed. You can at least reach out to see if they'd be interested.
Yep. The question was raised, what about rehiring bonus or hiring bonus? I hope I don't offend anybody, and if you're in nursing, et cetera, you don't have a choice, but I'm not a fan hiring bonus, because I track somebody that their number one thing is the money. And Julia, maybe I'll put you on the spot. If I hire somebody whose main objective is money, what's eventually going to happen?
They'll quit.
Somebody will pay them more money, right? So the culture, everything the four of you said is your calling card. So absolutely good stuff. What about Julie brought up something that, I mean, if we want to show that we care about employees, I don't know what could be better than this almost, than a wellness program. Any of you, I'm again, huge fan. Any of you have a wellness program?
We do not currently, but I've been tasked with starting to develop a wellness program or well-being program for us this next year. So I'm excited for that. But at my past employer, we had one, and we actually hired an outside nurse to manage it. And there was lots of different opportunities throughout the year for people to participate depending on, you know, their interest level. One was just an easy biometrics, you know, those main areas where we can improve our health, like our blood pressure, our weight, our cholesterol, and they would get money for meeting those targets. But then she also had a fitness program that I thought was awesome because it didn't require, what I've always seen was it would require you to go to the gym 12 times a month. She also had it on an honor plan where if you worked out at home 12 times a month, especially with COVID, you just had to track that and turn that in and you would get paid to do that. I think it was $75 a quarter, and it was for the employee and the spouse. Because we know, you know, if we get the spouse involved in wellness and health, it helps keep the employee on track with their health and their wellness. So she offered that. And then she did random throughout the year, fun wellness activities, you know, one targeting drinking water, another targeting being thankful. And so it was just simple things that employees would have to track and turn into her, and then they would get the wellness dollars. But it focused on not only health, but our mental health, which I think is really important. So I thought it was a great program. I'm hoping we can do something similar here at Rotochopper.
Yes, no, you're right. Mental health, a huge issue today. Mine was a mind, body, spirit. I'm trying to remember, Scott, I think you had alluded to something like that at Coldspring, correct?
Yeah, I'll just jump all over that. You know, we started probably about a journey about 15 years ago where we started with a wellness program where we had a consultant that helped us walk through and to set it up, and to where it is today. You know, just on the physical side, you know, if you go get a physical, we'll give you 8% off your monthly premium. If you're within the BMI or you're working towards the BMI, you know, you get another 8%. And then you get the other 8% if you participate in events that are all categorized by Wellbeing 6. And you do even look at that, and it's part of GDSC in St. Cloud, and that whole community effort, you know, even working with health partners now and using their systems to help just try to reach and give plenty of opportunity for everybody to participate, not just to save money, but, you know, it's a benefit for the employee. And then, of course, you know, the second and third order effect is that it's good for the business too. You know, it's keeping our costs down, and we've been able to show that and to be a pretty good lead. So Dana, if you need some help, some you know, lessons learned over the years, you know, I'd be willing to share whatever I can.
Yeah, great stuff. A couple more comments that are rolling in. Sometimes employees don't realize the cost of health insurance and other benefits. And on what I see as a similar thread, Brittany said, how often do you present a total reward statement and do you communicate that? Yeah, I used to keep a list. People forget. I mean, each year I'd highlight what we have improved, where we've added employee benefits, even if it's, you know, casual dress code day or anything that we're implementing. And I think you do have to at least annually kind of come out with something like that. Any of you have some thoughts on those subjects?
I'm used to putting that in the open enrollment packet every year, what the employer is paying for all the benefits, and kind of highlighting that and having a conversation around that, being self-insured, you know, talking about, hey, this is, you know, what we're contributing, so you understand. But, you know, tying it into then the wellness program, like the healthier we are, the lower our benefits are going to be, the cheaper it's going to be for you for your health insurance. So showing them everything we're contributing, but also advocating, you know, our health and our wellness and how that contributes to their actual premiums and what they're paying each month.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Educate, you know, when they have knowledge about it, they appreciate it more.
Yeah, I'll just add one real quick thing that we just in this past year changed our whole pay system, and we partnered with KDV, and in their K-Pay system, they have a tool that the employee can look at and touch, just say, hey, here's what the company's paying. It's just a really neat item that years ago we would have to do that through IT and finance to be able to give that to the employee. And now the employee has it right at the click of their finger, so they can see all those things.
Yep, absolutely. Well, it's 9:57, Amy, so I think we charted a pretty good course here to fill up our hour. Any final comments from any of you four that you want to throw in, something I didn't get to? Or
Well, I would be remiss. I'm going to take this minute, Mike, and say, hey, that I would encourage every one of the organizations that are attending today is to support VEX Robotics or First Robotics. You know, it's a great tool for the next generation. And boy, I tell you what, I think Greg Flint would be mad at me if I didn't take this 60 seconds or 30 seconds and tell you, go support VEX.
all right, absolutely. Anything else? All right, well, I look forward to getting back up to Minnesota here the first week of May, and thinking of the Painesville area is one of my favorite golf courses, actually, Crow Wing Country Club. Actually, Minnesota is very underrated when it comes to quality golf courses. I love getting up there, and thank everybody for attending today. Amy, did you have any final send off, or Tim?
I believe Les has that for us.
Oh, Les does. Okay, very good.
As soon as he unmutes, he does. But just want to extend gratitude to all the members of the panel and everybody that was involved today in the talk, and put in a pitch that Scott just had for VEX Robotics. I'm a big supporter of that. I work as a judge for the robotics program and would encourage everybody to be involved. And in fact, CMMA supports a lot of schools with their VEX and First Robotics. So, but on behalf of CMMA, I want to thank everybody for your continued support and attendance. And what will happen here is that the presenters will stay online, that if you have any additional questions or anything, and until everybody has logged off. And if you are logging off, enjoy the remainder of your week. And one request I have for everybody now is try and come up with at least 2 things today of your own gratitude, that in the midst of these struggles, what are the good things you have gratitude for? So with that, I think that wraps up the meeting. Everybody just have a great week. Thanks.